every one of them. It starts from the top down.
Probably in there somewhere.
It's fine. Yeah, let's do something.
Now when people come in, you can end up. Many times. Many times.
Good evening. Welcome to our children's version of the Stations of the Cross. Throughout the program, there will be a note in there that says, "Show Jesus your heart," and you'll notice that the children will lift up their hearts to Jesus. All right. During Lent, we remember the events that led up to the crucifixion. Jesus had come to bring love and light into the world. But at every step, there were those willingly trying to break his heart and put out that light. He brought grace and forgiveness and the promise of eternal life. But these gifts were rejected by those filled with hatred and fear. Here is our story of the Passion.
Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love like you. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love.
The first station, Jesus is condemned to death. Jesus is standing before angry people who are yelling and saying mean and hurtful things to him. They scream at him. Some of them tell lies about him, saying that he did bad things. But Jesus stays quiet, even though he knows that he will be hurt. He knows that God is with him. He even asks God to help him forgive the people who are yelling and telling lies about him. Look at your heart. Has anyone ever said mean or hurtful things about you? Or has anyone ever told a lie about you? If someone did that to you, look at your heart and see how they felt. Maybe you were scared or hurt, or maybe you felt very angry. When you see how you felt, show Jesus your heart. See Jesus loving you when you show him what happens in your heart. Then, when you are ready, you can ask Jesus to help him make your heart more like his. Maybe you want to ask Jesus to help you to remember that his love is always with you. Dear Jesus,
help make our hearts more like yours,
and help us to remember that your love is always with us.
Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love like you. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love.
The second station, Jesus is made to carry his cross. When the soldiers put a big, heavy cross on Jesus' shoulders, Jesus doesn't fight them or say angry words to them. He knows that he has to carry this cross along the way, and he knows that the way will be hard for him at times. But Jesus knows that God is with him, and he asks God to help him carry this cross, even though it is heavy. Look at your heart. Have you ever had something happen that was very hard for you? Sometimes children are very sick, or someone in their family is very sick. Sometimes adults or older children do not treat younger children nicely. Sometimes we just can't have things the way we want them. Take some time to look at what your heart is like when this happens. Then, when you see what your heart is like, show Jesus your heart. See Jesus loving you when you show him what happens in your heart. When you are ready, you can ask Jesus to make your heart more like his. Dear Jesus,
help make our hearts more like yours, and help us to remember that your love is always with us. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love like you. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love.
The third station, Jesus falls for the first time. Jesus is so tired as he walks along the road with the heavy cross on his shoulders. The cross keeps pushing into his shoulders, and the stones on the road hurt his feet. People yell and push him. The soldiers shout for him to move faster. Then Jesus falls, and the soldiers yell at him some more. How tired Jesus is. Jesus prays in his heart, God, help me to remember that you are here. Look at your heart. Did you ever fall when you were playing or helping with something? Falling really hurts, doesn't it? When people make mistakes, it's like falling. And when that happens, their heart sometimes feels like it hurts. Can you remember a time when your heart felt hurt? As you remember that time and remember how your heart felt, then show Jesus your heart. Show Jesus loving you as you show him your heart. When you are ready, you can ask Jesus to make your heart more like his. Dear Jesus,
help make our hearts more like yours, and help us to remember that your love is always with us. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love like you. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love.
The fourth station, Jesus meets its mother. As Jesus walks slowly with the cross on his shoulders, a woman comes up to him. It's Jesus' mother, Mary. How sad for them to see each other now. Mary feels so sad because she knows how much he is suffering, and Jesus sees the sadness Mary feels. Even though they both know that God is with them, they can't even say anything to each other because they are so sad. Look at your heart. Have you ever been very sad, or do you know someone who has been very sad? Being sad can really hurt someone's heart a lot, can't it? Sometimes our hearts are sad because we cannot be with someone we love. If you can remember a time when you were very sad, show Jesus your heart. Show Jesus what your heart looked like when you felt that way. Picture Jesus loving you when you show him your sad heart. Then, when you are ready, you can ask Jesus to make your heart more like his. Dear Jesus,
help us make our hearts more like yours, and help us to remember that your love is always with us. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love like you. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love.
the fifth station, Simon helps Jesus carry his cross. Jesus is so tired that the soldiers know that he cannot carry the heavy cross by himself. So they look around and see someone who looks strong enough to help Jesus carry the cross. This person's name is Simon. Jesus just looks at Simon and quietly whispers, "Thank you," to Simon. Then they continue on the long road carrying the cross together. Look at your heart. Sometimes helping someone can be difficult for so many reasons. Maybe you haven't finished something that you would like to when someone asks you for help, or maybe you just don't feel like helping that person. Can you think of a time when you were asked to help someone and did not want to help them? Show Jesus your heart. Show him what it was like when that happened, and picture Jesus loving you. Maybe you can hear Jesus whispering, "Thank you for helping." When you are ready, you can ask Jesus to help you to have a helping heart. Dear Jesus,
help make our hearts more like yours, and help us to remember that your love is always with us. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love like you. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love.
The sixth station. Veronica wipes the face of Jesus. Jesus is hot, tired, and sweating. His hair is all tangled, and he is covered in dust from the long walk. Suddenly, a woman named Veronica pushes her way out of the crowd and stands in front of Jesus. She takes a clean cloth and gently wipes Jesus' face. Jesus is so thankful that he leaves a picture of his face on her cloth. Look at your heart. Have you ever helped someone? Have you ever done something that helped someone feel better? Sometimes you may have done something that you thought was very small or unimportant. Bringing a glass of water or juice to someone, or even giving a helping hand with a chore. Maybe you just smiled at someone who looked sad. As you think of the times you've helped, show Jesus your heart. As you picture Jesus loving you, maybe you can also picture Jesus leaving a picture of his face on your heart. What a wonderful heart you have. Dear Jesus,
help make our hearts more like yours, and help us to remember that your love is always with us. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love like you. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love.
The seventh station. Jesus falls for the second time. How very tired and weak Jesus is now. Even though he keeps trying to walk with the heavy cross, he just can't keep going. The noise from the crowd and from the soldiers make him feel even worse. Then Jesus falls because he just can't take another step. Look at your heart. Have you ever had a hard time with something? Maybe you can't do something the way you want, or you feel as if you keep messing up on something. How does your heart feel when that happens? Maybe your heart feels the way Jesus' heart felt when he fell for the second time. Show Jesus your heart. When you show Jesus how your heart felt, picture Jesus loving you. Jesus knows how your heart felt. His heart probably felt the same way. Dear Jesus,
help make our hearts more like yours, and help us to remember that your love is always with us. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love like you. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love.
The eighth station. Jesus meets the women of Jerusalem. After Jesus gets up, he continues on the road carrying his heavy cross. He passes some women who are crying because they are so sad to see Jesus suffer. But instead of thinking of himself and how bad he feels, Jesus tells the women not to keep crying because of him. He tells them instead to take care of others, especially to take care of their children. Look at your heart. Sometimes it is easy just to think about ourselves, about what is not going the way we want it, or about problems that we have. It is very hard then to think about other people. How does your heart look when you do that, when you think about only yourself? Show Jesus your heart. Picture Jesus loving you with your heart that way. When you are ready, you can ask Jesus to have a heart like his. A heart that thinks about other people and remembers other people, the kind of heart Jesus has. Dear Jesus,
help make our hearts more like yours, and help us to remember that your love is always with us. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love like you. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love.
The ninth station. Jesus falls for the third time. Jesus is so tired now that he can hardly take another step. It is hard for him to breathe. He has been walking a long time along a dusty road, and he has no energy left. He just can't go on anymore. Then Jesus falls down in the street for the third time. He is so very tired. Jesus asks God to help him, and Jesus gets up again, even though it is hard for him to do. Look at your heart. When we have really tried to do our best and have not been able to succeed, it is easy to feel like Jesus did. Sometimes other people just keep yelling about something we do, or sometimes other people make fun of the way we do something. Can you remember a time when you felt this tired in your heart, when you seemed to be having a sad or hard time with someone or something? Look at how your heart felt. Show Jesus your heart. When you are ready, ask God to help you when you feel this way. Dear Jesus,
help make our hearts more like yours, and help us to remember that your love is always with us. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love like you. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love.
The 10th station, Jesus' clothes are taken away. Finally, Jesus reaches the hill that is the end of the road he has to walk. Jesus knows that he will die here. Before he dies, the soldiers will do more to him. They pull off his long robe, and almost all of his clothes are taken from him. Jesus stands in front of the crowd with only a small piece of cloth covering his body. Jesus asks God to help him remember that he is not alone, that God is with him through all of this. Look at your heart. Is it hard for you to share or give away something you like? Do you sometimes like to keep everything for yourself? Do you ever let something of yours be the reason for bad feelings or bad words between you and someone else? If you remember a time when something like this happened, remember how your heart felt. Show Jesus your heart. You can ask Jesus to help you to have a heart that is like his heart. Dear Jesus,
help make our hearts more like yours, and help us to remember that your love is always with us. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love like you. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love.
the 11th station, Jesus is nailed to the cross. How much Jesus hurts as the soldiers nail him to the cross. He hurts all over. He is tired and thirsty. He knows that he is going to die. But he looks at the people who have hurt him, and instead of saying bad things to those people, Jesus asks God to forgive them. Look at your heart. Can you think of a time when someone hurt you with unkind words or actions? Was it hard for you to forgive that person? Jesus knows that forgiving is hard to do. That's why Jesus will help to change your heart when you ask him to help you forgive someone. Show Jesus your heart. See how your heart looks after you ask Jesus to do this.
Dear
Dear
Jesus,
Jesus,
help make our hearts more like yours, and help us to remember that your love is always with us. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love like you. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love.
the 12th station, Jesus dies on the cross. Finally, after the long walk, after falling 3 times, after having the men beat him, after being nailed to the cross and suffering on the cross, Jesus bows his head and dies. Now this part of his life is over. There is nothing left for Jesus to give or to do. Jesus has given his life for all of us. Look at your heart. Did you ever feel that you wanted to make something better, or that if you only tried harder, something would change that you want to change? Or maybe you feel that you did not try hard enough at something, or something bad happened. If you can think of a time like that, then show Jesus your heart. Let him love you. When you are ready, you can ask Jesus to help your heart be more like his. Dear Jesus,
help make our hearts more like yours, and help us to remember that your love is always with us. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love like you. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love.
the 13th station. The body of Jesus is taken down from the cross. Now Jesus' lifeless body is taken down from the cross. No more pain or suffering for Jesus. All the pain is over. Mary, Jesus' mother, holds him tenderly in her arms. How sad she is, and how sad Jesus' friends are. They are crying as they hold his body. Look at your heart. Is there someone you love who has died? When you remember that person, how does your heart feel? Show Jesus your heart. Show him what you miss about the person who died. Jesus knows what your heart looks like and loves you when you show him your heart. He can even help your heart become more like his. Dear Jesus,
help make our hearts more like yours, and help us to remember that your love is always with us. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love like you. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love.
the 14th station. Jesus is laid in the tomb. Jesus' friends wash his body and wrap it in a clean sheet. They touch his body gently, and then they put his body into a tomb. When they are finished, they push a very large stone over the entrance so that no one can go inside. Now there is darkness in the tomb where Jesus' body lay, and all of his friends go home because they are very sad and tired. Look at your heart. Can you remember a time when you were very sad to say goodbye to someone? Maybe you were leaving the person for only a short time, or maybe it was for a long time. Maybe you said goodbye to someone you loved when that person died. Take a few minutes to think about one of those times when you were sad saying goodbye. Show Jesus your heart. Show Jesus how your heart felt then. Try to picture Jesus loving you and being with you in your sad heart. Jesus loves you a lot. Let Jesus know how sad your heart is. Dear Jesus,
help make our hearts more like yours, and help us to remember that your love is always with us. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love like you. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to love. Open our hearts, Lord. Help us to